The Adventure of Tom Sawyer, Chapter 1. Tom? No answer. Tom? No answer. What's gone with that boy, I wonder? You, Tom? No answer. The old lady pulled her spectacles down and looked over them about the room. Then she put them up and looked out under them. She seldom or never looked through them, for so small a things as a boy. They were her state pears, the pride of her heart, and were built for style, not service. She could have seen through a pair of stove lids just as well. She looked perplexed for a moment, and then said, not fiercely, but still loud enough for the furniture to hear, "Well, I'll lay if I get hold of you I'll." She did not finish, for by this time she was bending down and punching under the bed with the broom, and so she needed breath to punctuate the punches with. She resented nothing but the cat. I never did see the beat of that boy. She went to the open door and stood in it and looked out among the tomato vines and gypsum weeds that constituted the garden. No, Tom. So she lifted up her voice at an angle calculated for his distance and shouted, "You, Tom!" There was a slightly noise behind her, and she turned just in time to seize a small boy by the slack of his roundabout and arrest his flight. There, I might have thought of that closed. "What you been doing in there?" "Nothing." "Look at your hands and look at your mouth." "What is that track?" "I don't know, Aunt." "Well, I know. It's a jam. That's what it is. 40 times I've been said, if you do not let that jam alone, I'll skin you. Hand me that switch." The switch hovered in the air. The peril was desperate. "My, look behind you, Aunt." The old lady whirled round and snatched her skirts out of danger. The lad failed on the instant, scrambled up the high-board fence and disappeared over it. His aunt Polly stood surprised a moment, and then broke into a gentle laugh. "Hang the boy, can't I never learn anything? Ain't he played me tricks enough like that for me to be looking out for him by this time? But old fool is the biggest fools there is. Can't learn an old dog new tricks, as the saying is. But my goodness, he never plays them alike. 2 days, and how is a body to know what's coming? He appears to know just how long he can torment me before I get my dander up, and he knows if he can make out to point me off for a minute for make me laugh, it's all down again, and I can't hit him a lick. I ain't doing my duty by that boy, and that's the Lord's truth, goodness knows. Spare the rod and spoil the child, as the good book says. I'm a lying up sin and suffering for us both, I know. He's full of the old scratch, but laws a me, he's my own dead sister's boy, poor things, and I ain't got the heart to lash him somehow. Every time I let him off, my consciousness doesn't hurt me so, and every time I hit, my old heart most breaks. Well, a well man, this is born of woman, is of few days and full of trouble, as the scripture says, and I reckon it's so. He'll play honky this evening, and I'll just be obliged to make him work tomorrow to punish him. It's mighty hard to make him work Saturdays when all the boys is having holiday, but he hates works more than he hates anything else, and I have got to do some of my duty by him, or I'll be the ruination of the child. Tom did play hockey, and he had a very good time. He got back home barely in season to help Jim, the small colored boy, saw next day's wood and slayed the kindling before supper. At least he was there in time to tell his adventures to Jim, while Jim did 3/4 of the work. Tom's younger brother. She was already through his part of the work, for he was a quiet boy and had no adventures troublesome ways. while Tom was eating his supper and stealing sugar as opportunity offered. Aunt Polly asked him questions that were full of guile and very deep, for she wanted to trap him into damaging revealments. Like many other simple-hearted souls, it was her pet vanity to believe she was endowed with a talent for dark and mysterious diplomacy, and she loved to contemplate her most transparent device as marvels of law cunning. She said, "Tom, it was a middling worm in school, wasn't it?" "Yes, powerful worm, weren't it?" "Yes." "Didn't you want to go in a swimming, Tom?" A bit of a scare shot through Tom, a touch of uncomfortable suspicion. He searched Aunt Polly's face, but it told him nothing. So he said, "No, well, not very much." The old lady reached out her hand and felt Tom's shirt and said, "But you ain't too warm now." And it's flattered her to reflect that she had discovered that the shirt was dry without anybody knowing. That was what she had in her mind. But in spite of her, Tom knew where the wind lay now. So he forestalled what might be the next move. Some of us pumped on our hands, minds damp yet see. Aunt Polly was vexed to think she had overlooked that bit of circumstantial evidence and missed a trick. Then she had a new inspiration. "Tom, you didn't have to enjoy your shirt collar where I sewed it to pump on your head, did you? Unbutton your jacket." The trouble vanished out of Tom's face. He opened his jacket. His shirt collar was securely sewed. "Brother, well, go along with you. I'd made sure you'd played hockey and being a swimming. But I forgave ya, Tom. I reckon you are a kind of sign cat, as the saying is. Better you look this time." She was half sorry her sagacity and miscarried, and half glad that Tom had stumbled into obedient conduct for once. But Sydney said, "Well, now, if I don't think you sewed his collar and white thread, but it's black, why, I did sew it with white top." But Tom didn't wait for the rest. As he went out at the door, he said, "Sadie, I'll lick you for that." In a safe place, Tom examined two large needles which were thrust into the lapels of his jacket and had thread bound about them. One needle carried white thread and the other black, he said. She'd never noticed if it hadn't been for sight. Confounded, sometimes she sews it with white and sometimes she sews it with black. I wish to Gimni she'd stick to one or two others. I can't keep the run, but I am set for that. I'll learn him. He was not the model boy of the village. He knew the model boy very well though, and looked at him. Within 2 minutes or 7 less, he had forgotten all his troubles. Not because his troubles were weightless, heavy, and bitter to him than a man's are to a man, but because a new and powerful interest stood before them, down and drove them out of his mind for the time, just as men's misfortunes are forgotten in the excitement of new enterprises. This new interest was a valued novelty is whistling, which he had just acquired from a negro, and he was suffering to practice it undisturbed. It consisted in a particular bird-like churn, a sort of liquid warble, produced by touching the tongue to the roof of the mouth at short intervals in the midst of the music. The reader probably remember how to do it. If he has ever been a boy, diligence and attention soon gave him the knack of it, and he strode down the street with his mouth full of harmony and his soul full of gratitude. He felt much as an astronomer feels who has discovered a new planet. No doubt, as far as stronger, deep, unalloyed pleasure is concerned, the advantages was with the boy, not the astronomer. The summer evenings were long. It was not dark yet. Presently Tom checked his vessel. A stranger was before him, a boy a shades larger than himself. A newcomer of any age of either sex was an impressive curiosity in the poor little shabby village of St. Petersburg. This boy was well dressed on a weekday. This was simply astounding. His cap was a dainty thing. His close-buttoned blue cloth roundabout was new and natty, and so were his pantaloons. He had shoes on, and it was only Friday. He even wore a necktie, a bright bit of ribbon. He had a city-filled air about him and ate into Tom's vitals. The more Tom stared at the splendid marvel, the higher he turned up his nose at his finery, and the shabbier his own outfit seemed to with him to grow. Neither boy spoke. If one moved, the other moved, but only sideways in a circle. They kept face to face and eye to eye all the time. Finally Tom said, "I can lick you. I would like to see you try it." "Well, I can do it." "No, you can't either." "Yes, I can." "No, you can't." "I can, you can't." "Can, can't." An uncomfortable pause. Then Tom said, "What's your name?" "This ain't any of your business." "Maybe." "Well, I'll make it my business." "Well, why don't you?" "If you said much, I will." "Much, much? There now?" "Oh, you think you are mighty smart, don't you? I could lick you with one hand tied behind me if I wanted to." "Well, why don't you do it? You say you can do it." "Well, I will, if you fool with me." "Oh yes, I have seen whole families in the same fix." "Smarty, you don't. You are some now, don't you?" "Oh, what a hat. You can lamp that hat if you don't like it. I dare you to know it off, and anybody that will take a dare will suck eggs." "You are a liar." "You are another." "You are a fighting liar and doesn't take it up." "Oh, take us work." "Say, if you give me much more of your sass, I'll take and bounce a rock off your head." "Oh, of course you will." "Well, I will." "Well, why don't you do it then?" "What do you keep saying you will for?" "Why don't you do it?" "Because you are afraid." "I ain't afraid. You are." "I ain't. You are." Another pause, and more eyeing and sidling around each other. Presently they were shoulder to shoulder. Tom said, "Get away from here." "Go away yourself." "I won't." "I won't either." So they stood, each with a foot placed at an angle as a brace, and both shoving with might and main, the glaring at each other with a hate, but neither could get an advantage. After struggling till both were hot and flashed, each relaxed his strain with watchful caution, and Tom said, "You are a coward, and pup, I'll tell my big brother on you, and he can crush you with his little finger, and I'll make him do it too. What do I care for your big brother? I have got brother that's bigger than he is, and what's more, he can throw him over that fence too." "That's a lie." "You're saying so, don't make it so." Tom drew a line in the dust and with his big toe and said, "I dare you to step over that. I'll lick you till you can't stand up. Anybody that will take a dare will steal sheep." The new boy stepped up promptly and said, "Now you said you would do it. Now let's see you do it. Don't you covet me now. You better look out." "Well, you said you would do it. Why don't you do it?" "By jingo, for 2 cents I'll do it." The new boy took 2 board choppers out of his pocket and held them out at precision. Tom struck them to the ground in an instant. Both boys were rolling and tumbling in the dirt, gripped together like cats, and for the space of a minute they tugged and tore at each other hair and clothes, punched and scratched each other nose, and covered themselves with dust and glory. Presently the confusion took from and through the fog of battle. Tom appeared seated astride the new boy and pounding him with his fist. Hold on enough, said he. The boy only struggled to free himself. He was crying mainly from rage. Hold on enough, and the pounding went on. At the last, struggler got out, smothered enough, and Tom let him up and said, now that you'll learn you. Better look out who you are fooling with next time. The new boy went off brushing the dust from his clothes, shaving, snuff-lipping, and occasionally looking back and shaking his head and threatening what he would do to the Tom next time he caught him out. To which Tom responded with jerks and started off in high feather. And as soon as his back was strong, the new boy snatched up a stone, threw it, and hit him between the shoulder, and then turned tail and ran like a. And Tom chased the traitor home and thus found out where he lived. He then held a position at the gate for some time, daring the enemy to come outside, but the enemy only made face at him through the window and declined. At the last, enemy mother appeared and called Tom a bad vixen's vulgar child and ordered him away. So he went away, but he said loud to live for the boy. He got some pretty late that night, and when he climbed cautiously in at the window, he uncovered and ambushed in the person of his aunt, and when she saw the state his clothes were in, her resolution to turn his Saturday holiday into captivity at her labor became adamant in its firmness.